What's going on, Dolphins fans? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. We are here for the preview of the Miami Dolphins taking on the Dallas Cowboys, two teams that are, as of last week, going in very different directions. The Dolphins absolutely destroyed the Jets, and the Cowboys got absolutely destroyed by the Buffalo Bills. But these are two still of the best teams in the NFL. Last time these two teams played was in the Tank for Tua season when the Cowboys absolutely humiliated us over in Dallas, 31-6. And man, the things look incredibly different. That Dolphins team back then. You had Josh Rosen that started that day. Kenyon Drake was a running back. Preston Williams was our leading receiver. Even on the Cowboys side, Zeke was a leading rusher. Amari Cooper was the leading receiver. So things looking very different today in 2023. Week 15, two teams both 10-4, both looking to win their division, possibly both teams looking to get the number one seed. Two just incredibly hot teams in this league that do so many things well on both sides of the ball. So when the first thing that stands out to this Dallas Cowboys team is how Dak Prescott is playing this year. Dak Prescott's having the best year of his career so far. The turnovers have started to cut down. The efficiency's gone up, and he spread the ball around a little bit more than we expected him to this year. This offense was very CD Lamb reliant last year. In a lot of ways, it still is, but they have found a second gear in some other guys in that passing offense. Dak this year, 69% completion percentage, just shy of 3,700 yards, 36-39. Averaging 7.5 per completion, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, has been sacked 32 times, so sacked a little bit more than the team would like, but it's nothing outrageous. Tua has stayed mostly upright this year, and he's only been sacked 25 times, or Dolphins quarterbacks have been sacked 25 times. So Dak, look, there's been a lot of question marks. There's a lot of question marks by people on this channel. With Donovan has had his reservations with Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott and Tua are very much in the same conversation. They're in the same tier of quarterbacks. You have your like 1 to 8 quarterbacks where you'll find your Josh Allen, your Patrick Mahomes, your Herbert, your Lamar, and a host of other guys. And then you get beyond that, and then you find about 9 to 13 or 14 where you'll have Tua, you'll have Dak Prescott, you'll have Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray. A bunch of guys in that good enough to win a Super Bowl range. Are they good enough to win it sort of on their own as the cornerstone piece? Not quite sure. We'll kind of find out this year. None of them are doing it alone, but they'll definitely have an opportunity to succeed and win a Super Bowl. I just realized my camera angle is a little messed up. Let me go ahead and fix that for you guys. Make sure I look really pretty. Isn't this hat fire? I got this yesterday. This hat is so sexy. Got it yesterday. Was at Lids getting Christmas presents. My girlfriend and I went in there. Buy one, get one half off. Got this one for myself. Got her a gift. 2-in-1. Beautiful. You look further down this Cowboys offense, and it's Tony Pollard mostly in the ground game. And last year, we definitely saw a better version of Tony Pollard than we're seeing this year. It's still a little bit messed up. Last year, Tony Pollard was the 1B to Zeke Elliott, especially at the second half of the season when Zeke got hurt and he was afforded more minutes, more snaps. We haven't quite seen the same explosiveness from Tony Pollard, and that was a little bit to be expected as he was coming off a pretty significant injury coming into the season. And then it's been a decent fantasy season still, but you're still missing those breakaway runs, the yards after the catch. He was like number one in the NFL for a while in yards after the catch in the second half of the season, definitely amongst running backs. But that it hasn't been quite the same Tony Pollard this year. He's not by any means a bad running back, but it's really there's going to be questions posed to be asked as to whether they're going to bring him back in the offseason. 848 yards, 4.1 per carry. Only 6 big runs this year. That's runs of I think 15 or more. I could be wrong on that. 5 touchdowns. Has lost a fumble in the receiving game. 290 yards. So he's cracked 1,000 all-purpose yards so far this season, and he's done so kind of quietly. He's got I think another touchdown over there. No, so just has no touchdowns in the receiving game. So it's just been 5 total touchdowns on the year for Tony Pollard. The ground game of the Cowboys, they're trying to find another option. They've been trying to get Rico Dowell going, and he's had a little bit of a burst, but again, no big plays in the ground game. That's something that all year long they have not found that long home run, long rush for a touchdown, and I don't really think it's going to happen this game either. But then you look at the receiving game, and then you find probably the best player on the Dallas Cowboys, and that's CeeDee Lamb. He's having himself an incredible season, top 5 in receiving yards in the league, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. Has probably gotten a bunch of y'all listening into this, probably have gotten y'all pretty far in your fantasy playoffs. Dude is having a stellar season, already over 100 catches, but he's not the only option in this offense. There's not a clear like number 2 like Jalen Waddle, but there's a bunch of guys that can do work, and that Dak Prescott has gotten some trust with, in that's secondary in with Jake Ferguson, the tight end, 614 yards and 5 touchdowns. We all thought it was going to be Luke Schoonmaker, the rookie tight end and second-round pick out of Notre Dame, that was going to step up and be the replacement for Dalton Schultz, but it's very clearly been Jake Ferguson. They like finding him in the red zone. He's got 5 touchdowns. I believe all of those have come in the red zone this year. 82 targets is good for second on the team. He's second on the team in catches, second on the team in the yards. He is Dak Prescott's second favorite option when you look outside of CeeDee Lamb. After Ferguson, after CeeDee Lamb in the receiver department, you have Brandon Cooks, you have Michael Gallup. Those guys are marginally used. Brandon Cooks has come on more in the second half of the season, so that rapport has started to build up a little bit. Michael Gallup's never really turned into the wide receiver 2 that they wanted him to be. I don't even know if he's really a wide receiver 3. He just happens to be the third guy on the team, because in the receiving game, you go beyond Michael Gallup and you got Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin. Like that's not who the Cowboys are aiming to get the ball in the hands of all year long. But then on the defensive end, again, more playmakers to be found. DaRon Bland, what he's done, 8 interceptions, 5 pick sixes. He is liable to get burnt, which is something that we'll talk about with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. He is pretty much the exact carbon copy of Trayvon Diggs. They have Diggs, even though he's hurt, he's been out for the season. One on one side, one on the other, and they do almost the same exact thing. They're going to bite. They're going to try to get every interception possible, but they're liable to get beat over the top. They still might have an interception or two amongst the two of them, but you're also going to find a lot of yards. You're going to find a lot of big plays given up to the opposing team's best receivers. But Stephon Gilmore, he's the more traditional corner, probably a Hall of Famer. He's been around a few teams, and he's kind of been like a forgotten man on this Dallas Cowboys defense because he's not quite as flashy. He only has 2 interceptions on the season. But he was very much like, prime Byron Jones, where he's not getting a lot of interceptions, but that's also because the ball's not being thrown his way that much. He's got 12 passes defended, and he's not been thrown at nearly as many times as DaRon Bland has, and DaRon Bland has 14. So he's still been an incredible player in this league. The secondary, you're going to get, but Micah Parsons is the best player on this team. He's a top 10 player in the NFL. 14 tackles for loss on the season, 12 and a half sacks on the season. Needs no introduction. He was a guy that, he could have fell down to the Dolphins in that draft with our second first-round pick, but that didn't quite happen. Or was that? Yeah, I think that was the year we got Jalen Phillips. It was the year we got Jalen Phillips when we took Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips. There was questions. Maybe he could have fell to us. I did a few mock drafts where I had him falling to us, but obviously that hasn't quite happened. But he's an absolute unit. And with the worries on the Miami Dolphins offensive line, being not sure who's going to play, all of the starters missed yesterday's practice, either because they're on the IR or because they're beat up. We'll see what happens in today's practice. And I'm recording this on Thursday, so I say yesterday. I'm referring to Wednesday. But you have him and then DeMarcus Lawrence on one side. DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't have quite the numbers, but is still quite effective and is always a threat. He's got 4 sacks on the season. It's a very solid defense. That's one of the best in the league this year. You go over, look at their defensive rankings, and they allow the 5th least points in the league. They're great against the pass. They're second against the pass in the NFL. They're where you could attack them is in the ground game, even though that's not the Dolphins' really expertise. That's not what we're looking to try to do. They're 19th in the NFL against the run. So that's the one area of weakness. They're good in the red zone. They don't allow teams to get to the red zone that often, with the 4th least amount of red zone attempts against. But they do allow the 12th least red zone touchdowns. So I guess when you get there, they're less efficient at stopping you than stopping you to get to the red zone entirely. 22nd in red zone touchdown percentage. They're good. They're good on first down. They're meh on third and fourth down. They're 17th and 17th in third and fourth down percentage. So this is a good defense. They've scored the most points in the league on defense, obviously, with the pick sixes that they're getting from DaRon Bland, having 5 in the NFL, breaking the record. This is a very good defense. and it's very good against the pass, which obviously that's what the Miami Dolphins are looking to do. You look at them on offense, and it's 1A, 1B between us and the Cowboys. We have the most amount of points in the league. They got the second most points in the league. They got the sixth most pass yards. Dak is sixth in passing yards so far this season, second in passing touchdowns. Again, the ground game on defense, that's where they start to fall away a little bit. On offense, just slightly, that's where they start to fall away a little bit. They're 12th in rushing yards, 10th in rushing touchdowns. The third in overall touchdowns, and they get to the red zone more than anybody in the entire NFL. It's a very good team. Dak does not get sacked a lot. Only 10 sacks, or 10th in sacks allowed on the season with the 33. His interceptions have gone down. He's only got the fourth least amount of interceptions in the NFL. So this is a very good football team. Yes, they got destroyed last week against the Bills. Everybody had to watch it. It was Fox's, prime game on the 4:30 slot, just like they're going to be this week with Greg Olsen, Kevin Burkhardt. Everybody got to watch that, and you feel a little better about yourself going into this game on Sunday than we did watching, previously. I felt pretty nervous going into that Jets game, and I picked the Cowboys to win against the Buffalo Bills. And obviously, both of those were wrong. We destroyed the Jets, and the Bills destroyed them. So I do feel a lot better. Dak Prescott, that Bills defense, contained him. They, for the most part, contained CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb still had a decent day. CD had 7 catches, 53 yards. He also had a rushing touchdown, but he was having some obnoxious, 11 catches, 130 yards, a touchdown or two over the last month of the season. Had a really strong run that put him in the Offensive Player of the Year conversation. Now, it looks like it's almost all but certain to go between either Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey. But he is still liable to have an absolute monster of a game, can easily find himself around 10 catches, and is the most important player for this Dolphins team to stop. On defense, obviously, it's Micah Parsons as well. Whoever it is at the tackles, hopefully it's Austin Jackson, it's Ron Armstead, but whoever it is at the tackles, you got to be ready to go. Got to be ready to go against one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. And then we know that even though I wish the Dolphins would stick Jalen Ramsey to just wherever the other team's best player is, but we know they're not going to do that. Jalen Ramsey's going to stay to his side of the field. Xavier Howard's going to stay to his side of the field. And then together, the two of them are hopefully going to be good enough to contain CeeDee Lamb. Usually I pick the Dolphins to win every single game when doing my predictions. And when I picked us to win against good teams, we've lost each time. I picked us to win against the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles. I picked us to beat the Titans, but so did pretty much the entire world. So I'm going to do something very unprecedented. I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win on the basis of hopefully that kind of just reverse jinxes, or I don't even know if it's a reverse jinx, just jinx in general, gets the Miami Dolphins the victory. I'm going to go, and also I am a little concerned about this stretch of games in general for the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys 30, Miami Dolphins 27. I know. Nobody wants a loss. I don't want to sit here and predict a loss. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward, but hopefully that's good enough to reverse jinx it. Dolphins get there with a victory. Let us know your score predictions down below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Let me know if you're going to the game. I will be there as always. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.